Yo, what is going on, guys? Aspect Game out once again in GTNH, and today we'll be working on tiers 1 through 4 of the Waterline. But before we get there, a little recap of what happened since we last had an episode. I did a live stream where I greatly expanded on my Vulcanized setup, so I have 3 quad Vulcanized now, each with tritium coils, and yeah, we're much better in smelting now. It was a huge bottleneck, and it was giving me a lot of trouble, so now it's in a much better place. The other thing that I did was greatly expand my ore processing setup. So now we have 2 quads of centrifuges all running at LUV, and then we have 8 ore washing plants. And I also upgraded the casings in the maceration stack. You can upgrade this to tier 2 by putting a maceration stack upgrade card in it. So the upgrade chip, pretty easy to make, nothing that's really difficult. And then the maceration stack casings actually just need palladium, platinum, and some random Inconel alloy, which is not bad at all. So I've been working this area of the base a little bit. It's kind of still ugly. Maybe one day I will finish it all. But over here, this is the new spot for the water line. You can tell because the floor is blue. And yeah, we're going to start working on this. The water line is pretty cool. I've only planned out my first couple steps of it. But essentially, you have this multi-block in the center here, which is the water purification plant. So this guy is sort of like the home base of your entire water line. And everything works off of it. So you just provide power to this one block, and it supplies it to all the different blocks in your water line. So let's go ahead and build this now. And the first plant is done. So now, as long as you build out in a range of 32 from the controller, all the multi-blocks will link if you link them with a data stick. So let's go ahead and make the clarifier first. This is the tier 1 water. We need to grab the sterile casings. Okay. So, I mean, I don't really have a plan for how to place these. We're just going to start throwing them down, and if I got to make more room, we will later on. All right, the clarifier is done, but more problems are approaching because of this. The quote-unquote puzzle behind this, let's go to the multi-block. So this requires a filter made of activated carbon in order to work, and then every cycle is a 20% chance to destroy the filter. Okay, so every cycle is 2 minutes long, as we've seen over here. The problem is that whenever I need to craft activated carbon, it clogs my entire system. And my system being my LCRs. So let's go take a look at that. So each activated carbon dust, or pre-activated, takes 5 seconds. And then it has to do a ton of that in order to get rolling. And it's kind of a big problem, actually. So the way to solve this, in my eyes, is to upgrade to mega chemical reactors. So instead of the regular chem reactors I have right now, we need to go bigger. They're going to have way more parallels. So these ones have 256 parallels. They can do up to 256 recipes at once. That's crazy. And it also supports laser hatches, which we will get to pretty soon, but not quite. We need to do some more tasks before that. So, do I even have enough room in my current setup? Kind of. I can put them, like, vertically like this and just hide most of it. That's kind of ugly. It feels like they're meant to be sat like this. So, let me consider how I'm going to do this. I mean, it's a little bit annoying. It's not the worst thing in the world to have to move all this. It's not the worst. Let me plot out how we're going to place this. I need to craft a whole bunch of stuff for the MCRs. I want to go for 4 of them. I'm also going to go for a better upgraded universal setup. We're going to see it in a moment to try to increase the throughput just a little bit more on it. Because once you get to even bigger recipes, you start to get limited by ridiculous things like the fluid packet decoder even. And then the hatch size is a much huger issue too. So we're going to try to resolve all that in one fell swoop. Alright, I cooked. So I went and made this whole thing. This is the Mega Chem reactor. I oriented it this way just for reasons that I could have IO on the bottom, because I enjoy being able to access the energy hatch at the bottom at the top. So the glass tier decides what tier of energy hatch you can use. We went with ZPM just to future-proof it a little bit. But yeah, let's go through this whole control system right now. If you understand the fundamentals of Universal, this should be pretty basic to understand, but if you don't, and you've never seen it before, it may be a little bit confusing. So we have 4 quadruple input hatches, all of which have a fluid detector cover. The reason I have 4 of them is to just increase my capacity. Straight up, I want to have over 1 million liters of capacity for all 4 fluids, and this actually even increases it by more, because if I only use 2 fluids in a recipe, I have even more slots available, so that's pretty cool. And with that, because we want that, this thing can do 256 parallels. So 256 parallels, that's a ton. We're going to need to multiply my recipes by a lot. And this is going to allow us to do so because we have a lot more room. I'm using a Superbus 1 in here. This can store a lot of items. Yes, 80 different input slots. So that's a big scroll wheel here. So when a recipe is occurring, let's turn this on. So right now we're waiting for a recipe. Let's just imagine this is what the system is like in its default state. You probably heard my timers, they're annoying. A cell is inserted into here that has a recipe in it. It gets brought down by the timer into here. This is going to move to output when empty, and it's going to transfer to the network. So it transfers to the subnet. I'm going to put acceleration cards in here too. This should speed things up as well, because it's not necessarily instant, especially with larger recipes. So we can do that as well, now that I'm thinking about it. But yeah, once you insert fluids or items, you're going to insert a circuit and something else. So something else that will activate either these fluid detectors or the item detector in here, which is going to activate if we have 2 or more items. So let's say we have a recipe that has solids in it, so we have 2 items in here. Now we imagine these solids are reacting, and while they're in here, while they are reacting, or while the fluids are reacting, the system stops, because this is outputting the redstone signal. This hits the repeater, locks the timer. This hits the NOT gate, locks the second import bus, or item importer, my bad. But in our input bus, once we are done reacting, we'll have 1 item left, usually a circuit. This is going to turn the redstone back on. This is going to activate this importer. It's going to bring down my empty cell, transfer to the storage cell. So my network only sees a circuit in here right now. So it is going to take it, put it in the cell, and then we have move to output when work is done. So it will transfer to the hopper and it'll get sucked back into where it has to go. So that's pretty cool. There's more nuances to this. As we see down here, I have an input bus HV. What is this doing? This is a dummy bus that is facing into the reactor. The only reason I have this here is for a visibility on my redstone transmitter cover. So this is basically a wireless redstone cover, if you just imagine it. You set a frequency for it. I don't really know how to make them not overlap. I guess I just got to keep track of it, maybe. That's kind of annoying, because in the wireless redstone mod, they have a really nice GUI for it. This does not have that, which kind of bothers me, but I don't know. Maybe I'll come up with like a better system, like say the 1000 series numbers are for universal, 2000 series is for something else. But if I use these more often, we need to come up with a system so I don't overlap them by accident. But regardless, this transmits a redstone signal. Once it is receiving once there is an item or a signal being received by the redstone transmitter here, we go up to the controller block where we have the redstone receiver. Who would have guessed? Frequencies have to match, and this acts like a what do you call it? Machine controller cover. So this will activate the machine if it is receiving a signal. If it is not, it will not activate the machine. So you can see here's no text here. If I activate the lever, no valid recipe found. That's how you can tell it's working. We'll keep the lever down so you don't have to hear the timer. Now on the side over here, you're going to notice we have a lot more ME going on because there are more input buses, more input hatches, and then more fluid packet decoders as well. If you send like a bajillion fluids and you only have 1 packet decoder, you're going to actually be bottlenecked by them. So we have 4 of them just to keep track of all the different fluids and make sure they get through to where they got to go as quickly as possible. Remember, each storage bus, we want the fluid packet of the invalid fluid with a fuzzy card on there. So another thing to consider is that we are sending the fluids in as an item, remember, in like a single item storage cell. So it's going to come out as an invalid packet, which is why it goes here. This storage bus over here needs to have fluid packet with a fuzzy card and an inverter card. Anything that is not a fluid will go into here. That's how that works. Let's look at the channels real quick. So we have 8 going this way, 7 going this way. I've painted the cables so they don't conflict. So you can see these are light gray. So we have 4 for each of the packet decoders and then 3 for storage buses. And then there's 8 on this side because we have 5 buses, 2 I/O ports, and then 1 bus down there. So that's how that's working. You need a controller in this case because my subnet has more than 8 channels. But that's okay. And then we're pulling the power from our output over here. It just makes sense to me to put the output at the top like this. I will put larger cells in here. I can do that right now, actually. It's like a 1024Ks. But now the caches are sufficiently large for the items we're going to be putting through these. And yeah, we'll just output to the mainnet from there. We have this already hooked up to a P2P. This was used for the clean room previously, but only had 2 channels on it, so we just borrowed it. I will clean this up at a later date. And I also need to move this because it's kind of in a weird spot right now. But honestly, it's not a bad spot. I'm probably going to put a wall up here anyway, so maybe it's okay. Maybe it'll survive. But yeah, I'm going to repeat this. I've already repeated it once. We're going to do it 2 more times for 4 of these, which is a lot and probably more than I need, but honestly, I have a lot of fun building this. So I think I covered everything in the system. The other thing with these, actually, the Mega Chem reactors can use multi-amp and laser hatches as well. I'm only using a single amp LUV hatch for now. I'm going to upgrade that to probably 16 amps pretty soon. And I just need to crawl across the finish line at this point, because we're about to like explode our power generation very, very soon. Hopefully not literally, but you know what I'm saying. We're going to be making a lot more power very soon. And there we go, all done. I moved the patterns over. A lot of them I expanded by a lot. Made them, most of them like pretty gigantic patterns now to fill the whole capacity of this thing. Some of them are kind of large, actually, like bigger than they probably need to be, but it's okay. Pretty soon we'll be running like multiple ZPM amps in all of these, so they'll start paralleling like crazy. All right, now to finish what we started. Hey, easy enough to hook up. Let's start this plant again. So in 2 minutes, I should get my first like of the tier 1 purified water. I have a light blue line, which is going to be the subnet for moving around the water itself inside the purification units. And then the final tiered water will be sent into like a storage unit, maybe a storage cell that's partitioned or something, and then be viewable from the main net. So that's the plan. Why are you not on? This should be online, right? Maybe this has to tick first before it turns online. Yeah, the activated carbon filters are in here now, so all we gotta do is run this once, scan the tier 1 fluid cell, and then we can go ahead and make the tier 2 one. I just remembered you have to link this. I thought I did it already, but you left-click that controller, and then right-click on this, and then it links them. So I thought that was working already, because this thing did turn on the other day, but I guess I didn't do that. So yeah, hopefully in the next cycle this will work, and we'll start getting water. So within each multi, you actually have to go in here and set the parallels yourself. This is interesting that it has you choose how many you want to do, because I guess you can sort of dial them up and down for each different machine what you want it to be doing. There's a lot of like interesting things with this so far. I'm kind of liking the vibes of it. We're going to keep going and see how it feels though. So I set this to 16 just because it used a good amount of power, but not too much, you know? 490,000 is an acceptable amount that I want that to be using right now. My power supply is okay. If I run a big autocraft, I'll have to turn that off is the problem. So the goal is just get enough to like kind of squeeze by for the moment. And this is halfway done. This is making the next machine for the Waterline. So we'll build that one real quick. I do believe that one's easy, but I need to review which one that was. All right, next up is the ozonation purification unit. This guy reads that it will explode if the input hatch contains more than 1,024,000 ozone gas. And then for each time you double the ozone gas, which starts at 128K, you have a higher rate of success. So the convenient thing is that the ZPM input hatch has exactly that amount of storage. So it's impossible to blow it up. So that's pretty easy. And then the way that you make ozone is in a laser engraver. You need to make about 8,500 of this per second to be at enough ozone. We're going to see if we can reach that. The air intake might be a bit annoying, but we're going to see what we can do with it. Okay, this is done. And it has a little sister plant over here, which is temporarily 2 hyper-intensity laser engravers. These are making 8,000 ozone per second. I need like 8,533 per second, I believe, if I remember correctly my calculation. But we just made 2 of them. We'll tear one down when we can make 1 ZPM. No big deal. The air intake is a little bit annoying. This also lowers the rates quite a bit. So when you do this, just make sure you turn off input separation. I do think I'm okay. I could add more hatches if I'm noticing my ozone is like low. But I think we have enough to supply that, at least for the purposes of getting to the next stage. So let's try and do that. We will set the parallels on this like pretty high probably. I don't know what the maximum is. What is it? What if I ask for like 5,000? It still wants to do it. Okay. We'll try 32. Actually, we'll try 16. Then I'm most likely going to disable this machine. I need to link these guys. Okay. I think that's everything that I needed sorted out. Okay, then how to transfer fluids in here. This one needs to be this one needs a pump as well. IV pump should be good. See, I'm stocking the fluid that I want. I guess I forgot to do this one. But you stock the fluid that you want in your dual interface, and you pull it into the hatch with the pump. There we go. So you put that import mode. The annoying thing, though, is I used a rather large hatch. It's okay, I guess. I'm just thinking about it, because that means you need to fill this whole buffer. I might want a smaller hatch, but we'll refine it later on. So let's start this up. And I hooked up all the I/O back here as well. So let's start this up. This guy I want online. Turn this on. The cycle should start, and that machine should turn on, but this one should not. Okay. Yeah, I can hear it working. It makes a different noise. So, because this has the max amount of ozone, it should have an 80% chance of occurring. And that should make me pretty happy. You know, I can increase the buffer size too on that. Let me throw a quantum tank in there real quick. Because then I don't have to worry as bad about running out of ozone. Whatever, I'll just break this. Then we can route this down, fluid auto out, and eventually that will fill the other one. You could do that with ME as well. I just didn't really see. I just threw a tank down with a storage bus. I saw no point to send up a drive or anything like that. Okay, once this is done, we should have grade 2 water. Then we can make the next machine to go to the next step. And there we go, our first tier 2 water. Now we take this, and we scan it. I'll see you in a couple minutes. Okay, I'm back, and here's the tier 3 water setup. I'm almost done with it. You might notice, first off, I have a brand new skin. So I commissioned a friend and a good artist of mine named Codley to do a skin commission for me, and it came out amazing. Look at this mage hat that I have, and I'm using a couple mods to get away with showing it like this. First off is the custom player models mod. This goes back to 1.7, but yeah, you could like edit your models and stuff on here. I don't really know how to use it that well, but they made the model for me in here. But you could select your model like this, and as you can see, I'm in 1.7.10 still, but I have all this cool stuff on it. So this mod is fully functional in the older Minecraft versions, which is awesome. So this is my new guy. This is the new skin. I had to tweak this and make sure it works, and now it definitely does. So the solution I came up with is a buffer tank right here. So this has 3 things on it: a machine controller cover on the top, a fluid regulator at the north side, which is that direction, and then a fluid detector cover. The detector cover is kind of like a failsafe to make sure that I have enough fluid actually in the tank. Because if it's below 100k, I'm going to get an odd size batch in here, and it's going to mess up the recipe. So that just comes around here, hits a repeater. I just want the signal to be one direction, so I just put the repeater there so it doesn't flow back. I don't think that would mess with it at all, but I just want to make sure it's set up correctly. And the other 2 things, machine controller and the regulator. So the regulator, I did a little bit of calculating. So the way I'm starting the cycle is I'm preparing with 100k in this input hatch. So when this is 0, this is going to call for more fluid, basically. So when this is 0, there is no signal here. It is allowing this to run, because it is disabling with redstone. So as soon as it inputs a small amount of fluid in here, it gets consumed very quickly, and then it will reactivate the system that calls for more fluid. So then from there, the fluid regulator, I chose this set point because I want to send 9 batches of 100k in a 2-minute window. So that's why I chose it. I calculated this on a spreadsheet. There might be better set points for this. The only thing I'm concerned about is if there's a chance that I only get like 9 out of 10 batches in, but I don't think that's possible. I think I have 3 seconds of like leeway. So I think we're in a good spot here where this is going to be consumed, and it's basically consumed like a tick or 2. It just goes away very, very quickly. So you saw it happen right there. I don't think that's a concern. I don't think it's going to be 3 seconds total, but I can lower this number a little bit if it is a problem. Yeah, that's how I came up with a solution for it. Hopefully you did it on your own and didn't just copy me, but it was a good time. Okay, now I gotta deal with the byproduct. And there goes the waste liquid. So this should more than keep up with our supply for the moment. Actually, for forever, because it never gets any quicker. So did I even need a mega tower? Probably not. But, you know, we built it. It's fine. The forbidden upside down mega distillation tower, because it's easier to auto place them. You just put them upside down like this, I've found. So that's the way I'm going to place it from now on. It's just outputting the main net. And then for the actual... You actually fully recycle the aluminum and the chlorine, I believe. I gotta put it in here now. So the polyaluminum chloride, I hope I have a little bit of it left. Okay, I do. This is gonna go in the maintainer. And then we're gonna say let's maintain like 3 million. And then I will craft it in batches of like 10 million. Okay. That should be good enough for the system. We just need to make sure it's able to actually handle that craft. I don't see why I wouldn't be able to handle that right now. It should be easy to do. The only thing is these things are kind of buggy. Oh, and actually, I'm over the limit. That's why. I'm over the threshold. So I'll see if that works next time I do it. Just one final update here. I have a pump on the bottom now, which brings in the polyaluminum chloride after it's crafted. And then a storage bus, which is on extract only. So it's able to just see into the tank to read the level of the polyaluminum chloride. So from here, we're good now. Okay, now that Tier 3 water is completed, the reason I needed that was for cutting europium wafers, and then these can make the ZPM energy hatches that I need to progress farther, which is over here somewhere. These are used for, yeah, the nanopower ICs, I believe. These require europium wafers at minimum. So we'll be switching over to europium wafers for my wafer purposes, because you get a ton more of them, and it's like pretty cheap for me at this point now. The europium is just time, which I can just batch a whole bunch of it out before I need it, you know? So yeah, we're supplying the cutting machine with Tier 3 water now. I don't see a use for the grade 1 or 2 water now that I have grade 3, so we're just going to batch craft a ton of that and let it sit for a little while. And then we'll be able to upgrade our base very soon and just sort of start running on 24/7 instead of batch crafting it. Everything looks good to go now. Now that we have our water, we can actually make the nanopower ICs. So this is done in a laser engraver with the grade 3 water. And then the europium wafers are cut in the cutting machine with grade 3 or 4 water. So I should be able to ask for a ZPM energy hatch now. Yeah, it's able to do it. Okay. Nothing here is that difficult. I guess the europium's one of the more annoying things, but it's just time. It's not a big deal. All right, there it is. The ZPM energy hatch is completed. Pretty big milestone. Very fun time. There's a lot of stuff I've unlocked with this. It's difficult to choose what to go at first. I have a better recipe for quantum processors. I can upgrade my ABS. I can work on Fusion Reactor Mark II. Like I said, it's a bit difficult to choose. So I just gotta pick a direction and go in it, to be honest. All I know is we're gonna need a lot more energy hatches, and we're gonna need a lot more power. But we're gonna save that for next episode. So yeah, until then, guys, we are done for today. I feel like we've got a lot done. We're going to skip the Tier 4 water for now. It's going to take a little bit more effort than I thought it was going to. It's a big recipe, and then we're just going to do it a different day. But yeah, for now, hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Have a good day.